Yeah, man, I got stuff on my face. All right, there, now I'm presentable. Ndewonu, we are live. All right, let's see who comes in today. This is not the regular time. This is not the regular day. Yesterday was Eke Day. It was also my son's birthday party. And so by the time I came home, I was very tired and I took a series of naps, which I should have. And I'm happy that I did. But we are here making up for it on a Sunday. I want to see who we can get in here. We already got three people, so that's incredible. If you're in the house, let me know who you are. Where are you guys coming in from? City, state, whatever, however you want to announce it. There one and there will. It's another Ask Me Anything. Once we get 10 people in here, I'll go ahead and start. But if you guys got questions about anything pertaining to Igbo spirituality, and then a lot of you guys asked me about like contemporary issues with like Africa and like US and things like that. So I'm open to answering those questions too. But primarily, my name is Derek Ofadarnwa if you're new. I teach Odinani Ndibo, which is Igbo spirituality and cosmology here on the Medicine Shell here on YouTube. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and hit subscribe. I make short video essays on it. They are, I put my back into it, so I can confidently tell you they're very good. Yeah, if you want to support the channel, maybe you've been watching for a while, go ahead and join the Patreon community at patreon.com/themedicinesshell. Dan, we're already at 7. Once we get to 10 people, I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you guys have questions, ask me the questions. Once the questions stop rolling in, I'm done. I shut the thing off, even if it's like 2 seconds, right? So keep the questions coming if you have them. We are at 7. Once we get to 10, we'll go ahead and get started. I don't know if I turned the comments off or if we just got shy people. Live chat. Let's see what's going on. Okay, I guess you guys are chilling today. I'll do my. Yeah. Once we get 10 people, we're good to go. We are at 5. So 2 people said this ain't gonna happen. Let's see if we can get to 10. Let's see if we can get to 10 people before the 4th minute. All right. I'll do my. If you're in here and you know anybody who'd be interested in the topics that I discuss, which is ancestral cosmology and spirituality, go ahead and share this wherever you share things at, be it the WhatsApp group chat, the Facebook group chat, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you share things. Go ahead and share it. Let's see if we can get people in here. The crazy thing is, people don't. Once I start talking, all of a sudden, people start coming in. So I'm still trying to figure out what that's about. It's almost like they know. Like, okay, give him about 5 minutes. He's gonna run his mouth for 5 minutes, and then the thing will kick off. So I'll do my. There one, there one. All right, we're at 7. We're at 7. Once we get to 10, we'll go ahead and get started. Like I said, this is Ask Me Almost Anything. I'll be here to answer any questions you guys may have. I released 2 videos fairly recently. So my last video was on, why can't I think? My last video was on Juju. A lot of you guys wanted to see a video on Nsi, so I just titled it Juju, but it's the same thing, Juju Nsi. So if you guys were interested in the Nsi video, the video I put out was the Juju Explained. I explain what is known as African black magic, right? In some places it's called known as voodoo, and so forth. So I explained that particular aspect of ancestral spirituality and cultural practice. And then I released an interview, conversation really, I had with Haki Shakur, right? Also Ikechukwu one of Igbo land, right? He is an activist and a good friend, and the conversation was great. We went to all types of places that are probably going to get my channel shadow banned, but I'm with it, man. That can't stop nothing. They can't stop us. So we need 2 more people. Those of you who are in here, if you're in here for the first time, again, this is Derek Ofadarnwa. I teach Igbo spirituality here on the Medicine Shell, ancestral cosmology. All right, I got David Hassan has got coming with a question. David, we got to get 2 more people before we get the answer. We got to get 2 more people before we get the answer. So those of you who are already here, if you know the tradition, you got to hit that like button. You got to hit that like button. It's a tradition in here. You got to hit that like button. We don't do that. Oh, I'm gonna just come in here I'm just gonna fold my hands up, not hit that like button. Just spread hate. We're not doing that. You hit that like button. We got it's a tradition in here. So we got 10. We've hit 10 people. He said, all right, let's go ahead and begin. I'll break Aji, and then we'll go. Okay. So what I have in this UFO or tray is Aji, which are an assembly of cola nuts and bitter cola today. When this is what our ancestors use to manifest, pray, and start off a meeting. And they pass this tradition down to us, and we pass it down to our children and our nieces and nephews and descendants and so forth, so that we keep this alive, because this is the bond between us and what came before. So, that being said, let me begin. Ala wala, ala nemmano na nemmo, ala nenyendo, nemrai nine, okike kerowa, nkoloku, buruwa, okike nke na-enye Chukwu bi n'eluigwe, ọjị abịala. Eji m ọjị n'aka na-ekele ndị eke, ndị orie, ndị afọ na ndị nkwọ, ndị mbụ na ndị egede, ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ. Ji ya na-ekele mmụọ eke, mmụọ orie, mmụọ afọ na mmụọ nkwọ. Ma tata bụ orie na-acha acha. Orie bụ nwaanyị ọma. Orie mara mma. Orie na-enweghị iro. Ọwa ọjị ike ka m ji na-ekele gị. Ọwa aka ọcha ka m ji na-ekele gị. Ọwa obiọma ka m ji na-ekele gị. Ọwụ ije okike kere ka anyị gaa ka m na-eso otu m na-ekele gị. Otu unu fụrụ m bụ otu m dị. Aka m dị ọcha. Ije m dị ọcha. Obi m dị ọcha. Adị m ọcha na mmadụ, dị ọcha na mmụọ, dịka ndị mbụ na ndị egede, nke nyere anyị ndụ, nke nyere anyị aha, ka anyị ji ama onwe anyị. Ọwụ mmụọ ha ka m na-eso aga. Otu aka ọ ga-adị n'eke, n'orie, n'afọ, na nkwọ. He said, all right, let's go ahead and begin. David Hassan is asking, do you consider Delta Igbos Igbos? Of course, of course. Igbos from Delta State, yeah, of course, absolutely. There's like a little river that separates me from them. Hey, I go over there speaking my language or eating my food. The culture is the same. There's absolutely no difference. I feel like, yeah, I don't even think it's like a debatable thing. Like, especially with Anyama, it's not debatable. When you get to like Abo and things like that, some of them claim that they're not Igbo. If they claim they're not Igbo, they're not Igbo. But the majority claim that they're Igbo. In places like Anyama, that kind of thing. Nobody goes to Asaba and says, "Oh, okay, I'm not. These are not Igbo people." Right, and Onitsha people are Delta Igbo too, right? Nobody goes to Onitsha and says, "Oh, okay, I'm now in I don't know, in Japan," that kind of thing. So yeah, of course they're Igbo. Of course they're Igbo. Even past that region, there are Igbo people even past that region into like Edo and things like that. So if you know Nigerian geography well, you'll understand the answer I'm giving. So yeah, absolutely, Delta Igbos are Igbo. So where are the rest of the questions? This is a very quiet night. Maybe I shouldn't do these on a Sunday. Huh? Is it because it's Sunday? You guys just coming back from church or what? You got work in the morning. Totally understandable. If that is the one question we have for today, then I can go ahead and wrap it up. So I'll give it a minute. Peace, love, and prosperity. All right, Durong, Wanem, welcome. Welcome. Yes, thank you for the positive energy. He said, all right, so I'm still waiting for questions. It seems like everybody's chilled today. I've answered all the questions there are to answer, right? But David had asked if Delta Igbos are real Igbos. They absolutely are. Absolutely are. It's not even in contention. There's like a couple of goofballs on the internet that may say otherwise, but if you double check, they live in Lagos. They grew up in Lagos. They're barely at, you know what I mean? But like within Delta State, there's like a community, I think Abo. There's a lot of them will say, "Oh, we're not Igbo," that kind of thing. Which, whatever. If they say they're not, then they're not. I'll give them Little Liars video. All right, let's hear the question. Let's hear the question. I think you were the one that was trying to troll the last time. But let's see where you're going with the question. And also, I also got a question for you too. But let's hear your question first. Man, this is the slowest live. I can't do these on Sundays, it looks like. I shouldn't be doing these. I have a one-to-one set up for tomorrow. Is there a specific way I can pose my question, or can you explain the process? Yeah, so if you're a patron, I schedule one-to-ones. Duran, I think you wanted to speak to the Debia, correct? So what I'm going to do is send you a calendar invite, and then on that calendar invite, you can just use the Zoom link, and it'll be you and the Debia talking. Unless you wanted a one-to-one with me, just message me on Patreon and specify who you wanted to talk to specifically. But I'll send you the link. There's the process is simple. You go there. One of the things I need to tell people when they're talking to the in-house Debia is to ask every question that they want to ask. I feel like sometimes people go talk to him and then they come to me and start asking me questions they should ask him, right? And so ask every question you need to ask. And that you're comfortable asking. If you're comfortable asking me, you should be comfortable asking him. Otherwise, you can just talk to me. It's fine. So maximize my time. Yeah, yeah. Go just maximize it to the fullest. Ask every question you need to ask. Don't walk out with questions in your mind, right? Don't walk out with questions in your mind. He's heard everything. He's here to answer. So we're really lucky to be working with Uzo, which is our DBA. So Little Liars video says that was not me. Okay. Do Arishi sit on people's heads similar to the way they do in Ifa? They say Orisha are in people's head. Like some people say that they're the daughter of Osh. Like that. So the answer is no, right? The Igbo tradition doesn't place as much emphasis on the equivalent of the Orisha, right? So the Arishi or the Abara, which is the more proper name. But I'll use Arishi because you use Arishi, which is fine. So we don't really place that much of an emphasis on it. So your forehead is connected to your chi, right? Your chi, which is your personal creator, which is your personal, if you want to call it your personal God, your life spark, the thing that gives you life, that brought you into the world for a purpose, so on and so forth. And it's not an Arashi, right? An Arashi is going to have its own chi, right? An Arashi has its own chi. You have your own chi, and so forth. The role that Arashi play in the Igbo tradition are almost like communal. So, for example, if you and I have a dispute, we'll go to court, right? We can go to court. If we don't like the judgment of the human court, we can now take it to the Irishi's court. You can also, like during festivals, they'll like acknowledge an Irishi and give sacrifice and things like that. And then, of course, there's a lot of Irishi that people use to like get questions answered and that type of thing. But the Irishi in Igbo land are problem solvers. They help human beings solve problems. They help human beings coexist with the environment they're in and with nature. They're not your creator. They're not on your forehead, if that makes sense, and so forth, right? So it's your chi. Your chi is what's emphasized in the Igbo tradition. You're not in. So you don't meet a lot of Igbo people that go say, "Oh, I'm the daughter of this Irishi," or "I'm the son of this Irishi," and so forth. There are people in Igbo land who can say that, and they go by the distinction of Osu. If there is, I think Osu is not the proper term, by the way, but I'm looking for a better term. But they go by or it is the proper term, but it's falling out of favor because there's a lot of stigma against this group now. And the Osu are very rare people. They're exceptionally rare. If there's 100 of us lined up, maybe two people would be Osu. And they are human. They are connected to a specific Irishi by way of like their birth or their family history. And it's not like I'm one person's Osu and their dad and their mom is not. The whole family is. Everybody is. And their children will be, so on and so forth. And again, this is a rare type of person. So oftentimes when the Abara wants to communicate with people, they'll communicate through that person. When you need something done that pertains to the Abara, you have to go to that person or that group, whoever holds the alpha of that Arishi. So the leader of that, or not the leader, but like the main priest of that community and so forth. If you are a Christian, compare it to like Levites, like them to like Levites and so forth. But those are the only people that can say they have like that type of connection to an Abara or an Arishi. Traditionally, again, it's a very rare type of person. They face a lot of discrimination in the modern day. I don't think it just started in the modern day. I have a whole documentary on it. It's ancient, and so forth. But traditionally, you couldn't assault them. You can't insult them. If one of them comes into your house and wants to eat what you're eating, you just give them your food. If they want to pick something out of your farm, they can do that. They're kind of immune from human conflict or like a social conflict. But again, it's a very rare group of people, and it's not common for somebody to do that. But even at that, their chi is their creator. Their chi is their forehead piece, right? When an individual takes a title, typically taking a title is like your chi is now showing itself. It's now manifesting. You're now one. Like if you're my chi and I are one. I'm manifested. I'm actualizing what I come into the world to actualize. So you take a title to make it official, right? On a social level, on a personal level as well. And at that point, if it's like a ancient title, they used to scarify the forehead because your sun, your chi is now emerging from the horizon, right? So they do these solar marks called Ichi marks, right? When you take that title, they don't do it anymore. They don't do the Ichi marks anymore because everybody wants to be cute. Nobody wants to sacrifice their cuteness, and and of course it's painful. But people still take those same titles that traditionally were associated with the Ichi marks, like Nze and also and Duru, Dara, and so forth. But no, we don't do that. Like, oh, this person's a child of Oshun. This person's a child. It's not. It's very rare and it's socially acknowledged. Like the whole society knows, okay, that's the group that is connected to this particular Irish in the community. And if you watch my Osu documentary, you'll know that that starts from whoever activates the communication, right? So earlier I said that there's a difference between an Abara and an Arishi, right? And Arishi is like the force, and the Abara is like the device or the place you use to channel that force. So the person who becomes the Osu of a new settlement, of a new community, is the person who is able to somehow, some way establish communication with the earth or with the river, so that the earth and the river can let us know how to live in its vicinity and so forth, right? And so the earth and the river become like senior members of the community because now we can communicate with them. But because let's say it's me, let's say I'm the one who was able to activate that communication, anytime that communication needs to be done, people come to me. And when people come to me, I'm the connector between the community and the Arishi. And because there's something about me, something about the signature of my more, my spirit, that allowed me to do that when others couldn't, right? Think about like King Arthur when he pulled the sword from the stone, right? So that guy, he's now the Osu. He's now the Osu of English people, right? And allegedly that's where the kings come from and so on and so on and so forth, right? And so forth. So because this person established that communication, their descendants now have that thing. Now, one of the interesting things about the Osu tradition was that if you couldn't enslave Osu people. So a lot of people who were escaping slavery, right? Either they are currently enslaved or maybe somebody had attacked their community, slave raiders that attacked their community. One of the things they can do is they can run to the Arishi and declare themselves as Osu. And once that happens, they couldn't be enslaved, right? And once that happens, they couldn't be enslaved. They couldn't be, because you can't capture and fight them and do all that stuff. So, and so forth. So a lot of the Osu tradition gets associated with slavery because of that. Because while the core, the original ones are the ones who activated the Arishi and their descendants, a lot of them were people escaping different things, right? A lot of them were people escaping different things. And so then it gets associated with like foreigners and refugees and slavery. And then a lot of that's where some of the tension and discrimination comes from. But no, it's not everybody has that particular gift. It is said that when you do Akaraka, right? So Akaraka is the reading of the poem, is the reading of the poem. But in the Igbo people, we understand that these lines on my poem, they extend through my entire body, that kind of thing. And this is for everybody. And so it said that a person who's Osu will have an X on their forehead. There's an X on their forehead, and that a person who can read Akaraka is able to see that, right? There may or may not be a link between that and like what do they call them, indigo children in the West. There may be, but it's a similar type of concept. It's not everybody. So no, not everybody is like, oh, this person's a child of Amadioha, this person's a child of Oshun, so on and so forth. Now, a person can embody an Abara in their community, right? A just leader is Amadioha. Amadioha is possessing a just leader. A person who, let's say, people want something to be done. People want something to be done. And then a person emerges and does that thing for the people. That person has been possessed by or is embodying Amadioha, right? That kind of thing. I'm trying to think of another one. A mother is embodying, or what am I saying? A mother is embodying Allah, the earth. There's a direct connection between her and the earth. A dibia is embodying Agu, right? Agu. And so on and so forth. There's a whole bunch of different ones. A warrior is embodying Ekwensu, or whichever one they used to fight the fight. So Ekwensu, Amadioha, so on and so forth. If you go deep, they're all the same. But Adema. Cool. So yes, it was with the DB. Okay, yeah, Duran, you're gonna get a link. If I haven't sent it to you, then that's my oversight. Apologize. Set up 1-1. Make sure to maximize my time. Okay, cool. All right, that was a really good question. Little Liars video. Please get into the concept of Ikenga more. Thanks. Across the journey of spirituality, these artistic symbols show. Absolutely. So what the Ikenga is okay, I talked about the chi earlier. So a person's chi is the God source that creates and guides you. It's your God source that creates and guides you. It's the spark of creator power that makes you and makes you exist and so forth, and has a reason to make you exist. Now, if it gives you a reason for existing, it equips you for what you need to achieve or actualize that reason, right? So, for example, there's an ilu that says, uh, a man's meal, let me say, a person's meal can never be greater than their stomach, right? I'm trying to say it like in English. A person's meal can never be greater than their stomach, right? So if I'm supposed to eat X amount, well, my stomach is as big as it needs to be to eat that thing, right? There's another ilu that says, if the chi of a blind man sends him into battle, it has already accounted for his blindness, meaning that if your chi sends you into battle, you're going to win. You're going to win. If your chi sends you to do something, you're going to win. It's going to work. It's going to happen because you're equipped with what is necessary to make that happen, and the world will work in tandem with you, right? To make sure that that thing happens, whether you see it or you acknowledge it or not, right? That power, that spiritual power, that spiritual velocity you have when you actualize what your chi brought you to actualize, or you're moving in that direction, is the Ikenga. That is your Ikenga, right? So a person who, let's say, for some reason, this person was brought into the world to be an amazing basketball player. They will play basketball at a level that the normal person can't understand, right? And even if that person tries to teach another person, they'll never really reach their level because it is their Ikenga. It is a spiritual power that is making them, that is giving them that additional capacity to be at the level that their chi created them to be. If I'm trying to think of another one. There's another example. I think that's enough examples. You guys kind of understand. But that's what the Ikenga is. So the Ikenga is a masculine energy. It is the masculine energy, right? And it is embodied by way of a figure, right? The figure is a ram, has a ram's head. It has horns, and it's very much the look is very much tailored to who you are as a person. There are general Ikenga that I'm sorry, people receive different Ikenga throughout life. So there's a general Ikenga that nearly everybody receives, which is one with a knife or a sword and a skull. That's the general one. But as you evolve and grow as a man, you learn the specifics of your Ikenga, right? You learn the specifics of your Ikenga. Then all of a sudden, yours has a fish in its hand and and a bowl or a skull. All of a sudden, maybe the horns on yours are huge and has a bunch of animals and stuff crawling around on it. Maybe the horns are now small for some reason and that kind of thing. Maybe your Ikenga all of a sudden has a pot belly. It gets more as the older you get and the wiser and the more you know yourself, the more specific it gets because you begin to realize what your spiritual power is. Everybody has this Ikenga spiritual power, but it's very specific to who you are as a person and what you were created to actualize in the world. So that's what that figurine represents. And what you do in the Igbo tradition is you establish a relationship with that Ikenga, right? You kind of see it as something outside of yourself and within yourself at the same time. You communicate with it. You are aware of it, right? I know when mine is on. I know when mine is off, right? I know when mine is. I know that anything pertaining to communication, mine is on. Anything to pertaining to like history or understanding or logic, mine is on, and so forth. But then like there's some things where it's just it's not on. It's just me, right? And that kind of thing. And so yeah, it's your spiritual power, spiritual and physical power. It's your power in the spirit and power in the physical, and so forth. So that's the Ikenga. How can I set up a one-to-one with the in-house DBA? Okay, so if you are an Eze tier patron, if you're on Patreon and you're at the Eze tier, when you log on to the Patreon, there is a pinned post. It is pinned at the top of the thing. When you click it, it explains how you set up the meeting with the DBA. Okay, and it's pretty simple process. There's like a scheduling app. You just pick a time, and then we go. And get it in this coming week because after this week he's gonna send us his schedule because he didn't anticipate the traffic the amount of traffic I'm sending him. So he's gonna make a more specific schedule with specific times. But right now it's kind of the agreement is it's whenever you're available. Just so if you're an AZ tier patron, it pops up automatically. If you're an AZ tier patron, and that's kind of who I've designed it to be the people he meets with. Okay, yeah. What separates Igbo spirituality from Ifa spirituality, or all the same? Oh, that's a really good question. Okay. All of Black Africa runs the same algorithm, but based on geography and history, that algorithm will produce different results. Okay? So, for example, I am what is known as an Uru Igbo. An Uru Igbo. An Uru Igbo person is a person who, an Igbo person who lives by water, right? In this case, Ninjaba River is what we live near, right? And the land I live on is owned by that river. So the main shrine in my community is not the land, it's to the river because the land itself is the river's property. We're like renters on her property or we're guests on her property, right? And so Njaba Nkwo specifically in my community is the main one. Now, if I go a little bit south, more inland, I enter Isu area. This is another part of type of Igbo person. And Isu, typically, their main shrine is going to be to the land, right? To the land, because the land owns the land, not the river, right? That kind of thing. So it's the same algorithm, right? The algorithm of Yoruba spirituality and the algorithm of Igbo spirituality is the same. But because of geography and history, it's going to produce different results, right? Um, I do think there is more of an emphasis on the Orisha in the Yoruba tradition. And in the Igbo tradition, there's more of an emphasis on the Chi. But if you look at how the societies are structured in both places, it makes sense. Now, earlier I said that the Arishi or the Abara is more of a community thing. It's more of a community thing, right? but that the chi is what's most important to the average person, and of course their ancestors, your chi and your ancestors, right? But because of a series of wars in fairly recent history in Yoruba land is organized as kind of a top-down monarchy system, whereas in Igbo there were republics. So people would get together and vote on issues. Yoruba land, there's a king, right? There are a series of kings with different titles and things like that. Alafan, Yoruba, or Oba, all these different things, right? So it would make more sense that the communal thing is, or not the communal thing, but like the community deities becomes more important in that situation because it almost serves like a state religion. Whereas in the Igbo situation, the chi is more important because it's still it's similar to what we have in America where it's like meritocratic, how do I put it? Meritocratic kind of republic system where you go vote, you have to persuade people, that kind of thing. So you're representing your chi, this person's representing theirs, this person representing theirs, and they're all kind of cooperating. Whereas in the Yoruba system, it's kind of this is the leader, this is the head honcho, and so forth, right? And so I think that history makes the emphasis, what's being emphasized, different in different places, right? Um, and yeah, that's really what it is. So I just think that the only real difference is geography, and the geography of both places is very similar. Is geography and the way the society is structured and how this particular algorithm then translates to the structure of that society. Now, I think that even in the diaspora, like the Yoruba tradition in diaspora, has more of an emphasis on the Orisha than in actual Yoruba land. And I think because the influence of Christianity in the diaspora and then the conditions by which you had to work. So a lot of this is being done in secret. A lot of this requires our oath taking and hey, we're meeting in the forest to do this. We don't need you to snitch, that kind of thing. So then again, remember what I was saying earlier, if you and I have a dispute, we can go to the court of the Arashi and that kind of thing. I think that thing becomes more important because things like secrecy, and then of course being in captivity, it changes the nature of it. But it's supposed to change. It's not that one is doing it wrong, okay? Because earlier I said again, it's an algorithm that says different things based off of where you're at, right? It says different things based off of where you're at. So the difference is, there's way more similarity than difference. But the differences are just that. I think the Orishas are a little more important. In the Igbo tradition, the Arishi are not like the main thing. They're not that important. They're important for like on a community level, but it's not like a thing that gets emphasized a lot. It's the focus is on your chi, which is a personal your personal, let's call it your personal god, your personal creator. And of course, both of them have the same emphasis on ancestors. Um, and yeah, that's what that is. So other than my, also I think that because like for example now in Igbo tradition we don't do too much as far as like inheritance, right, of titles. So my dad is a titled man, but that doesn't mean anything about me. If my dad is going to pass with his titles, I have to earn my own. Right, I have to earn my own, and so a lot of what Igbo people use their spirituality for is based off of like personal success, finding your calling, um, kind of fortifying yourself for like the challenges of life. Those aspects become a little bit more important, right? Because everybody has to kind of like start over every generation, like repave their path. Now I'm the first son, so I'm going to inherit like land, right? My dad has land, I'm going to inherit his land, and then it's my responsibility to share it with my siblings, like give them whatever, or I can just be greedy and keep it all, which I won't. But that kind of thing, right? But then none of my other siblings get anything and they have to start over, right? Which both of them are fine. They're like rich, so it's all good. Where are we at? X is symbol for Agon leopard in Sibiri. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Somebody who's Osu has Akaraka X on their forehead. Does that mean they're born Osu? Yeah, you're born Osu. You're born Osu. But you can like declare, I guess. So I don't know if that puts the X after. I don't know. Osu is a bloodline. Yes, it is. But again, you can declare, you can join it. You can join it. Also, I know Uli is derived from Akaraka. Isn't Sibiri derived from Uli? I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot about the history of Insibidi that we don't quite know. I've been privy to some information that would suggest it's actually from Central Africa. A lot of people from like who are all these annoying ass people from Cross Rivers. Ah, no, it's ours. Ah, I actually think it's from Congo. There's a lot of evidence that I'm finding that actually shows it's from Congo. It's like a Pan Bantu thing. But of course, it becomes more prolific in Nigeria for some reason that I'm not sure yet. But either way, I don't know if Insibidi derives from Uli, but a lot of the symbols are the same. A lot of the symbols are the same. In fact, I'm yet to find like a difference. I'm yet to find a difference. So yeah, I don't know. Da, 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 da. But Insibidi is more than just writing, right? So Insibidi is more so referring to like sign language and plays, like doing plays. So like two Ekme people can come and do a play, like they start moving around, and in their moving around, they're doing like a secret communication that the rest of the room doesn't know. Or like for example, somebody will have like an Insibidi symbol like on their chest or something, and if another person who understands Insibidi sees it, they're supposed to like turn around and touch a wall, right? It's just things like that. So Insibidi, there's a whole is really like a culture. It's a game, right? And so yeah, I don't think there's a difference between Uli and Insipidi, but I think Insipidi has all those added kind of secret codes and that kind of thing that are with it. I feel like I missed questions. Oh nope, I didn't. Okay. Where are we at? What separates if I can answer that? I've already picked a time for tomorrow. Do I need to pick another one or will it still be the same? Yeah, it should be the same as what you chose, Duran. If you haven't gotten a notification, it's my oversight, so I appreciate you bringing that up. I have not been on the ball this week, so you're not the first one I did that to, and I do not. It's not my intention, but the fact that you brought it up, I will check after this to make sure I scheduled you correctly. So it'll be on your Google Calendar if you want to check now to see if it's there. I just can't remember if I've scheduled it or not. But you'll definitely, everything still follows time and everything. Igbo land, do regular people work with different Abara to help them manifest different things, similar to how people in the West say they work with Aphrodite or Patron? Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, people work with different Abara for different things, different Irishi for different things, and so forth. So, one of the things about Irishi is that they're like, so I can claim to have established this connection with Arobinago, right? And people will come to me and say, oh, okay, if you've established this connection with Arobinago, I want to know this, or I want to be able to do this, or I want to be fortified and protected from this. And I can offer it all I want, but let's say I do something that's supposed to make a person bulletproof, and is coming to me from this Arashi I built to Arobinago, which is informing me, and I bulletproof that person and they go and get shot and they die, then people will stop coming to my Arashi, right? People stop coming to my Arashi, and then after a while it falls out of favor, right? So a lot of the very old Arashi that are still standing, the reason they're still standing is because they've proven themselves over and over to work. It's not like you're not like beholden. You're not beholden to oh, okay, I have to just worship this thing because of whatever. No, it's a problem solving situation or thing. And if it's not solving problems, then people don't go. The ones that people regularly patronize are the ones that have proven to solve problems. They'll spread by word of mouth, things like that. So yeah, people go to them to solve problems. It's not the first line of defense. It's not the first thing you do. You don't like, oh, I have a problem with this. I need to go to the Irishi. It's usually like for like very serious things, like things that are very serious, or like things that are beyond your capacity as a person. If you need that additional appeal to providence or appeal to something greater than you, that's a place to go. There's an Ilu, not an Ilu, but there's a folklore about Nechuku, and there's many stories that are similar to this one. But I'm going to tell the one that, funny enough, is from my community. And so the story is, and this kind of shows what it is. So there was Nechuku, right? The spirit of Nechuku touched down in the community of Awamama, and people from all over the world used to come to Nechuku and ask her the big questions of life. And when she would answer your question, she would give you a spear, and you can use this spear and go about your way. And people would know who has visited her and who has had their questions answered. And because she was so wise and so infinite in her knowing, she was solving people's problems for thousands and thousands of years. People from all over the world, no matter what they'd ask, she was able to solve that problem. She was able to give them the answers. Well, one day there was a woman in the community who became very jealous that everybody was going to Nechuku instead of her. So she was going to prove that Nechuku is not real and that, or is not as wise as they say, let me say. So she went to the Abara and she said, I have hidden my cooking pot. Can you tell me where I hid the cooking pot? And Nechuku told her exactly where the cooking pot was. But because the question asked was so minuscule and so insulting and so disrespectful, Nechuku, the spirit, lifted from the ground and took off and landed far away in the community of Aruchuku. And when she landed, she turned herself into a man so that women would respect her. So that women wouldn't ask her goofy questions. And so she went from Ne Chuku to just Chuku of Aro Chuku. But a lot of communities claim that she actually landed in their community. She landed in my community, Mbano. There's like two or three in Enugu. There's like two or three in, there's one in River State. There's two or three in Imo State. There's a bunch in Abia that all claim that she actually came to my community and so forth. And so all of them will make their claims and then you'll go to it. And if it works, okay, this is what it is. If it doesn't work, you guys are full of it. And eventually, the one in Arochukwu ends up being the one that everybody respects the most, right? But there's a lot of stories as to how she came to Ibini Upabi in Arochukwu. So, yeah, that kind of gives you an insight of how the Arashi work. It's usually for like big questions or like big situations. Or the way I primarily see them used is like problem solving, like settling cases. I had a nephew. I told this story. I had like a cousin, really. But I call him my nephew. He's younger. He stole my uncle's generator, like his generator for light, and sold it. My uncle was so proud of this generator. This particular uncle is not well-to-do, so when he gets things, he really appreciates them. And he stole it and sold it, and so it was this big issue, and people were looking all over for it. And he was one of the main suspects because he at the time he was very hard-headed. And so my dad proposed that, okay, if you don't want to admit, if nobody wants to admit, then we'll all go to Ogungun in Okija, and Ogungun will reveal who really did it. Now, one of the things is when you go to the Albara, sometimes they punish very severely, right? And so, out of fear of that punishment, this cousin now confesses, okay, it was me, right? So, a lot of times people don't want to go to, especially the really powerful ones, like back in the day with Arochukwu. If two people go to the Chukwu shrine in Arochukwu, only one person's returning alive, right? Only one person's returning alive. The guilty person will die, right? But that dying was actually, as it came to be revealed, Arochukwu people kidnapping the person and selling them into slavery. And so people use Arashi as a last resort for problem solving. But yeah, people go to them to solve problems all the time. Um, and it's not advisable to just be bouncing from Arashi to Arashi for like minuscule things. Might add that because in Yoruba, Ifa can become an Orisha. I don't think you can do that in Odinala. Ifa, one can become an Orisha. Yeah, I mean, okay, so yeah, you can kinda, you can. So like everybody, people revere ancestors, and there are some ancestors that are so great that they do something so great that reverence becomes. I mean, everybody's revering this thing. It's basically the same as an Abara. At that point, they call it like Ndiegede, right? And your high exalted ancestor. So I'll give you an example. So for example, now I'm going to be doing a video on Ogwego, right, which is like money spirituality. Because of Nollywood and Ogwego has a very bad name, so the fact that I'm even doing a video on it is going to sound very funny to a lot of people's ears. But and I'm not. It's not like just to sanctify it. Oh, it's actually a good thing. There's some really dark, horrible things in there. So it's not like I'm just not. I'm not there to just sanctify. I'm just going to tell it as it is. But there's some useful things in there too. And one of the things that is a part of it is the fact that, like, let's say now I want to become I want to build airplanes, right? I want to build airplanes. So what happens is my workspace, or let's call it a factory, my factory is actually a shrine. And all in Igbo culture, your workspace is sacred. The space you work is sacred, right? So your farm is sacred. Your if you're a smith, your shed is sacred. All these different things. Funny enough, the I'll tell about that later. So all these things are sacred spaces, right? And so one of the things that will happen in that sacred space is that I will venerate, or I will somehow have a dedication to the spirit that brought my craft into the world, right? Or the spirit that brought my whatever it is I'm doing in there into the world, right? So farmers will have one for Njokuji, or Njoku, I'm sorry, not wrong, Njokuji, right? They'll have some type of dedication to Njoku or Ahia Njoku in there, right? Because there's a story about how farming came from Njoku being sacrificed, right? A smith, depending on what community you're from, you're gonna have different ones. So I think either Nkwere or Okigwe, they have a spirit known as Ogadazu Ogadazo. And this is the person who brought smithing into the community. So because their chi gave them that gift, that authority over smithing, anybody who wants to smith has to pay homage to that particular spirit and has to walk in the way of that spirit, because that spirit walked in the way that their chi, or that the creator says a smith or an airplane builder and so on and so forth should walk, right? So, in that case, if the thing you brought into the world was particularly great, right, was particularly great, then you become something, or a spirit that people actively seek communion with in order to be able to do, or to be infused with the ability to do the things that you did, right? And I mean, if you look around the world, honestly, everybody does this. Everybody does this. We just kind of give it a name, and we take it seriously. But like, there's a reason why you'll go to the White House and there's all these pictures of these founding fathers, and you got that big ass Zeus Lincoln monument, and that kind of thing, right? I'm sure in England they got some funny characters, and English statues are so funny. They're so psychotic. It'll be like, this is the guy that killed all the pygmies, and like, what? What this guy do? Oh, he fucking killed everybody on Cook Island and shit like that. So you got a bunch of them in that kind of thing too, or all these fake statues that the neo Confederates were setting up. Those are Irish, they're shrines, right? So it's the same thing in Igbo culture, right? So you'll have this ancestor that did something great. And then if you're going to be doing the same thing as them, you kind of tap into that particular one. Sometimes, most of the time, it's not even a blood ancestor. And from there, it's the same thing as like a person becoming an Irishi or an Orisha. It's the same thing. It's just an exalted spirit. Peace, Ma'at God. Udo one there. Will I be accepted into my people's culture even though I have never been home? Yeah, of course. Of course. How did our ancestors view crystals and sacred stones? A lot of Dibias work with stones. There's divination with stones, and then a lot of shrines will use specific stones based on like their frequency and things like that. I don't know what stone means what and what stone is what, except the very common, well understood ones like Nzunedo. I understood those. Nzu represents water, it represents purity, it represents spirit. Edo is the same thing, but it kind of leans more towards like wealth, abundance, light, that kind of thing. And so they get used a lot in different. Just they're as common as air when it comes to Igbo culture, as far as their utility and their uses, right? Um, and yeah, like you'll see a lot of DBs, they'll color their eye with nzu. They'll color one eye, or they'll do like a strip around their eye to kind of show that their spiritual eye is open, their spiritual eyes have opened, that kind of thing. Yeah, but those are the only two that I understand very well. There are others, but I personally don't know them. Sometimes when you're doing certain rituals, you need certain stones. Like, okay, you need stones from a river, or you need stones from that. But I couldn't tell you which ones do what. One day I'll learn and I'll share when I do, though. How can I be initiated into a Denani from US? You don't get initiated into a Denani. There's no such a thing um, as being initiated into a Denani. And when you start understanding what it is more, you'll be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Well, I can't be initiated into that, right? Odinani is a connection with your chi. Your chi is your connection. You and your chi have a personal connection. There's an ilu that says Owabu Maduna Chia, which is the world is each person and their chi. And so I can't really tell you what your chi is doing or saying and so forth. You have to just learn to start trusting your, what we call intuition, what we call your first voice. That is one of the ways your chi communicates with you, what resonates with you. That's one of the ways your chi speaks to you. That Ikenga thing I was talking about, right? If you have a particular gift for writing, but maybe you think it's nerdy and you don't want to write, you want to be a damn, I don't know, what's cool. I don't know what's cool anymore. I don't know. Yeah. So you want to do something, maybe you're ashamed of the thing that you actually have a gift in, or the thing that makes you special or unique as an individual, and you want to do that other thing, but you're like, not, obviously you're not going to do it as well as something that resonates with you. Another good one is like theater. I had a good friend who wouldn't who we all kind of, when we were younger, we kind of secretly found out he was in theater, because theater wasn't seen as a very macho thing to be in. But he's very passionate about, like, clearly. I mean, I'm still in communication with him, and I know back then I was just too young and immature to kind of understand him as a person. But now as an adult, I see he's very passionate about movies and stories and like acting and things like that. Like that's his world. That's who he is as a person, and I just didn't get it. I didn't understand it back then, but he knew from a child, from when he was a child, that that's what his chi brought him into the world. That's what resonates with him. That's his light, right? So that's Odinani. So you can't be initiated into that, right? Another aspect of Odinani is establishing a connection between you and your community and you and your ancestors. You can't be initiated into that. I can't, okay, I've initiated you. Now you can go talk to your grandpa George. I can't do that. You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. So anybody that comes and tells you about getting initiated or not, that's just stupid. I think a lot of a lot of scammers are making money from initiating people into African traditions, um, and and I don't think Igbo people have caught on yet. They don't know that there's like a market for their traditions. And so when the scammers among the population, all populations have scammers among them. When they hear, yeah, there'll be some initiations up and down, but like you can be initiated into something specific if you want to like become a dibia, right? If you want to become a dibia, there's an initiation for that. If you want to become an inze, there's an initiation for that. If you want to join a particular like a masquerade society, there's an initiation for that. But it's not just like a normal person, like you have to get initiated or else you're not like a fucking Odinati. Like you can't, how are you gonna tell me how to be that's stupid. I'm not you. No, it's just the concept doesn't make any sense. And one of the reasons I created my channel is to let people know, hey, the wave is coming, because the wave has hit the Yoruba tradition. There's a lot of people doing crazy stuff over there. And it's not wrong with the tradition, but it's just like, all these ideas about like initiation and like people trying to like create new families outside their real family. It leaves you susceptible to a lot of chicanery, and because of that, I want to make it clear that no, you don't need to be initiated to do a Denani. Denani is a perspective, right? It's a perspective. You can't initiate somebody into a perspective. Is Edo different from Uhi? Yeah, I think so. Good question. Yeah, I think so. I think Uhi's is a wood. It's from wood. Are you initiated into the Igbo spiritual system, Baba? I appreciate the question, but no. I am a partial initiate into the Owu Masquerade Society, right? And all that means is my dad did like imamwa, which is like it literally says knowing of the spirit. So spirit, this is my child, child, this is the spirit, that kind of thing. And so because of that, like one of the privileges I get is I can see Owu. I can like if there's a certain Owu that comes out at night and there's a person that walks when it comes in, they'll say like if Ofeke, like are you an Ofeke? And then I can answer, no, I'm not Ofeke, I'm one of you, and which allows me to see this masquerade that people don't get to see. But if you're not initiated into that particular one and it comes out and they catch you watching it, they'll start chasing and flogging you. So I get that privilege, and the general idea is that we'll come and celebrate the big achievements in my life and things like that and so forth. And I'll probably, do the same for my son. But that's not just like that's a very specific thing in my community that gets done, right? It's a very specific thing that gets done. So there's no such thing as being initiated into Odinani. Odinani means as it is on the land. Now, if you want to say, have you been initiated into as it is on the land? It makes as little sense in English as it does in Igbo. Okay, so it's like philosophy. It's a perspective. It's a way of seeing things. A cosmology. Man, you guys are cooking with the questions. I thought this one was going to be dry today. Can you develop the eye or ability to see lines of Akaraka? Yeah, sometimes it kicks in later in life. Sometimes it kicks in later in life. I don't know if you can I don't know. I'm not saying you can't. I don't know if you can train yourself to be able to, but sometimes it kicks in at old age. Sometimes it kicks in for like this window in your life and it goes away and so forth. But that's a good question. Okay. I was looking for the video you did on Igbo resistance and wasn't able to find it on Patreon. Is it still up, available? There's like little stories about different resistances in my videos, but I don't think I've done a video on like Igbo resistance as a whole. I am going to do a documentary on the Ekumeku resistance, which should probably cover everything you're talking about once we get to 300 patrons. So if you're not a patron already, get on patreon.com/TheMedicineShell. But we're getting close. We're getting really close. You might be the one that tips us over. Daron, I already know you're there, so I'll do my. Peace and balance, Baba. I'll do my. Thank you. There's a message being held by review. Should I view the message? I'm going to view the message. Inappropriate. Chat message is held. All right, I guess I can't see it. All right, so Udochi also deleted something. Hey, Udochi's on it. How can you spot a bad deviant or a grifter? A lot of people are online claiming is and why. Telling WhatsApp them for a consultation. Telling you to WhatsApp them for a consultation. Well, what what most 9 out of 10 DBOs are solid. 9 out of 10 DBOs are good at what they do. 9 out of 10 DBOs are serious, right? So most of the time you're fine. The only issue is because everybody is conditioned by church, they have this mentality where once you go to a DB, you have to turn off your brain, right? You just turn off your brain and you can't discern or make sense of things all of a sudden, right? A DBA is a doctor. It's a doctor, it's a problem-solving doctor. So if you have a specific problem that needs to be solved, you go to the DBA. If the person is saying something that doesn't make any sense, okay, then it's going to cost you $50,000. Okay, what's the per capita income in Nigeria? How many people in the village have $50,000 for this type of thing? How many times has this person been handed $50,000? I'm giving you a random specific number for that's something that wouldn't make sense, right? How many times has this person been handed $50,000 that they're messaging me on WhatsApp to come hang out, right? Because I'm telling you that if you're in Nigeria, 50,000, you're good for 3-4 years. 5 years. You're good, right? That kind of thing. So a lot of times, honestly, con- I I have a strong understanding that people want to be scammed, right? And this is going to sound nuts. But people want to be scammed because they come into these situations and they're looking for an excuse to turn their own brain and their own discernment off. And, I didn't realize I grew up in the tradition because it's so like, it's very casual and ubiquitous. It's not something that like you go hardcore about, right? That kind of, or like the kind of Western perception of hardcore when it comes to like spirituality. Um, and so forth. And so there's a lot of things that like I understand just that doesn't make sense. But I do realize that is a privilege of growing up in it, right? So just use your common sense, right? Just use your common. But a lot of people, you like I've had people. I've had people that I've told, hey, that doesn't make sense, and then they'll get mad at me because they want to be in the mystical delusion of some bullshit, right? But a DB is a problem solver. If the cost of the thing, of the problem they're solving, or if they what they tell you doesn't make sense, it's okay. I've gone to doctors here in the West that will just say, like my son had an ear infection at one point. And we went to a guy and he's, oh, it's school, they get sick. I'm like, hey, listen, dude, you are paid to fix this issue. Don't tell me that these issues exist. Just fix the fucking issue, right? So we just went to a different doctor, and the different doctor, okay, amoxicillin, whoop whoop, he's good, right? That kind of thing. So yeah, it's the same thing as visiting a doctor. Just use your common sense. The issues people keep wanting to. They just want to turn their brain off. That's the main thing. People want to turn their brain off, and they want the debia to be their chi. They want the debia to be their chi, right? The greatest debia I ever met, his name is or Chika Debia, Chukuka Debia. The chi is greater than the debia. That's his name, right? Greatest debia I ever met in my life, right? But yeah, yeah, it's hard to say because I used to think it was the practitioner being nefarious. Sometimes some of Dibias, Babalawos, and so forth, sometimes they're inundated with ridiculous questions or like ridiculous, like people just want to just be in a delusion, right? So I was using this example with like somebody I was talking to the other day. You will have a situation where I had this guy who was saying that please he wants to speak to a DBA, blah blah blah. And at that point I realized that I have to be discerning as far as who I recommend to the DBA because I'm already pissing off my very good friend with a lot of these situations. And so I was like, okay, what's going on? That for 12 years in his life, nothing has been moving, nothing's working, so on and so forth. I'm like, okay, what have you tried? And he says that he's been trying to go to South Africa. He's in Nigeria. He's been trying to go to South Africa for 12 years now. I was like, wow, yeah, it must be tough. What have you been doing in the meanwhile? And he's like, my brother, there's no jobs. So this guy has sitting around 12 years just trying to go to South Africa. It's not working. Trying to go to South Africa. It's not working. And I was like, have you tried just something else? Maybe that's not for you, right? And they told me that I wouldn't understand because I'm Americana. I'm from America. I'm privileged, right? Um, and so yeah, just things like that, like just shit like that. So if you go to an actual DB and they give you the real answer, which is, dude, just go do something else. You'll go, okay, this isn't mystical enough, and then you go to the next person, do something else, and then you'll get that one person that goes, yeah, sure, I'll tie this stick with a rope, and you'll fly to South Africa. And then they go, okay, and the person then pays that person and does it. After a while, okay, fine, I'll tie this rock to a rope, and here, now you can teleport to South Africa. Oh, that person becomes successful. And when that person becomes successful, everybody else is now looking like, look, there's raining money on this person because he's willing to pay into the delusion, right? What am I doing? What am I doing? Just sitting here, I can bear, you know what I mean? Like the naira is like what 1 to 2,000 right now. And I'm sitting here trying to be a good guy while this guy is a millionaire because he's being foolish, right? It's like with like even with like Christianity, right? Even with Christianity, like if you had like a real deal pastor that's really talking about what's going on in the Bible, talking about you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, he's not going to make the money that the oh, I'm gonna touch your head and you're gonna be rich next week. That guy is he's the private jet flyer. Go check all the ones that fly private jets. They don't ever tell you the hard shit about Christianity. They don't ever tell you the things that take conviction and discipline. They're just gonna tell you, you're gonna keep getting things, you're gonna keep getting things, send me your money. And then that person becomes another thing. So now, oh, which one's real, which one's fake? And just, you know what's real. You use your discernment, right? 9 out of 10 DBOs are great. They're good. You're fine. Somebody messaging you, hey, come do a reading. Um, okay, is this person real or not? That's not the question. The question is, what, do I need a reading? Do I need a reading? And this is a person that has a service that offers reading. Do I need a reading? Oh, I don't really need one right now. Why would somebody message me, hey, Derek, come get us. You know, is there anything confusing going on right now? This shit is pretty normal, right? I haven't had any bizarre dreams. I'm not having any bizarre inclinations. Things are working kind of as they should in life, right? Nothing's ever going to work perfectly, but it's not like absolute calamity over and over and over and over where I got to check, okay, what's the issue, right? Like, I got to check what's the issue. That's what a reading's for. Some people just want to just getting readings up and down, and I mean, all right, sure, if that's what you want to do, but that's not Odinani, right? That's not Odinani. That's not what it is. That's not, normal. There's this page on Instagram, Odinala, I think it's Igbo Cyber Shrine, and she was saying something along the lines of a lot of people are trying to make Odinala very Dibia centric, all about going to the Dibia, going to the Dibia, going to the Dibia. And that's not what it is, right? That's not what it is. That's like saying I don't even know. Oh, that's like saying oh, okay, being a Christian is about getting an exorcism. So you just get this person who's like 4 or 5 exorcisms a week, or I can do an exorcism for you, and the person goes, oh, okay, great, like, bro, what's going on with you that you need an exorcism, So, anyways, let me get off that rant. I think I've made my points. I'll do my. You have to just use your discernment. A bad DB is going to behave like any bad scammer kind of person, and they're in the very, 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 very small minority. The question is, do I need this thing? Is the thing I'm asking for realistic? Does it make sense? Have I already tried normal options, right? Have I already tried to just do the thing, right? Oh, I wanna go to Barcelona um this summer. Let me go to the DBA. No, go to what's that ticket line? Whatever that website's called. Go buy your ticket. That's the first step. It's not the DBA. You go buy your ticket. You go. Now, if you go there and you start having demonic convulsions, okay, fine. Now you can go to the DBA, right? I'll do them all. I love your hair. Oh, thank you, Brooke. I appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate it. I do fancy my follicles myself. At weird kid, I don't think so. Okay. How do you bring your chi down? Yeah, that's that DBA thing talking. Can you elaborate on what you mean bring your chi down? Right? I don't think you're I don't Can you elaborate on what you mean by that? Bring your chi down, because there's a lot of people that are just saying stuff that's like, okay, but why? And what does that even mean? And this is not an insult to you, because I know you've heard that from somebody, because I've heard that from somebody. Um, but explain what you mean by bring your chi down. Um, Frankly, I can't imagine a scenario where that that idea is like something that makes sense or matters, right? Hold on. Why are there so many different rules for Odinani? Before, I was doing my Igor fall just fine. But then I watched one video and they say women cannot break cola or draw lines with nz. Okay, so it's just people coming from church. It's people coming from church and then deciding that church is a lie and they want to do Odinani now. And so they bring their church mentality into the thing, right? Very Abrahamic, very man versus woman, wah 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 kind of thing. Give me just a second. I gotta close the door. Right. So what you do is you use your discernment. Does the omo of onacha Does she go to the to the mechanic shop and find a man who can break unzu for or break kola for her, right? So we understand the Igbo tradition that women have their shrine, men have their shrine. Women's shrines are traditionally in the kitchen, and traditionally a man's not supposed to enter a kitchen. He's not supposed to enter where women cook. So how who's attending to that shrine for her? Does that make sense? Right? It's just that Abraham shit. As they're trying to bring their, King James version of Udinani over, where they liked all this, like, oh, you're a man, you get to women, that kind of thing. They like that, but maybe they don't like how white the Christianity is. So they fill their bag with all the things they like about Christianity, they bring it over, right? And they say, oh, it's all about you can't do this, you can't do this. Come to my village and tell me I can't do it. Come to my village and tell my mother, come to my backyard and tell my mother she can't do something. It's just normal. I mean, I'm assuming you're from home. You know how things work at home, right? I imagine me. I'm myself from my own mama. I carry myself over to Ihiala, and I start looking at women. Hey, you can't do this. Hey, you can't do that. Like, that's mental. That's not how we operate as a people. There's nothing in Igbo culture where one person makes another person do something. It doesn't exist. Show me where it exists. It doesn't exist. So if a woman wants to break cola, she breaks cola. Now I understand what they mean. If the woman is in attendance with men, it's the oldest man who's going to break the cola. You understand? Even with all that stuff, it's the oldest man that does those things. That's his place. That's what he does, and so forth. But in her own spiritual practice, in her own e-golf fall, which you're not doing, you're not having somebody else do e-golf fall for you. That's what do you say during e-golf fall? My hands are clean. I have not done this. I have not done this. I have not done. How would somebody else know what you've done and haven't done? How will somebody else do that for you? Does that make sense? And I'm not getting animated because I'm trying to bark down at you. Again, we have to use our discernment and make sense of these things. What are you saying during e-golf all that somebody else can say for you? Not a single thing. There's not a single thing somebody else can say for you or do for you. You understand? That you want to communicate with your ancestors, so you had to carry your ass outside and start looking for a man who's going to say that somehow knows your ancestors for you, and okay, I die. Let's say I die, I pass away, and my daughter wants to honor me, and she says, "Do a father, and then some fucking bloke, some fuck goes, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? You can't communicate with Duro or father. You can't do that. I'll do it for you. I'll personally use thunder and kill that MF. I'll haunt that person to tell me that my daughter needs an intermediary to talk. That's all it is. That's what we're doing. That's what it is. So people are coming from mosque and church, and they're the same thing, by the way, right? Igbo people like to feel superior to fucking Muslims or like Islamists. Is not that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You guys remember in Nigeria when the NYSC they ruled that Muslim girls can wear hijab. What did the Christians do? Did the Christians say, "Oh, we don't do that"? They say, "No. If you guys get to wear your headdress, we can wear our headdress too." Then you saw a bunch of girls walking in there wearing hijabs, which dress like a nun or a Virgin Mary tying the head. Same thing as same thing. It's the same shit. So they're bringing that over. They're trying to bring that over, right? Oh, you go to your altar, you take off your hat. Why? Why would you take off your hat? Why would you take off your hat? So you as a man, you've achieved in this life, and you're a leader in your community. And they put this thing on you, say you're a leader, right? And then before you speak to your forefathers, you have to take it off because maybe it's dirty or you're ashamed or something, or it's not the Jesus juice isn't going to enter your head. You understand? So again, you have to start learning where the line is, right? And then you use your common sense. All this is common sense, and this isn't going to make sense to anybody. And I don't know why. We're black. We're black people. We don't operate like that. We don't operate like that. Go tell a room full, hey, all of you guys take off your hats. Go do. It's just not who we are, right? We create from the inside out. This is what I bring to the table. Look at when people play Ogene. Does somebody come and say, no, stop hitting it this way, hit it that way? No. One person, da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, the next person, boom, boom. However they want. They're not even talking to each other. They're not talking to each other. You are playing your instrument the way you want to play it. I am playing it the way I want to play it, and then all of a sudden, a song is created. Right? That's who we are. That's who we are. And that's not going to make sense to anybody. It will maybe one day. I wish it made sense now because a lot of these confusions would be cut right out. But there's no such a that my daughter, my granddaughter, wants to go to her altar and say Derek Duru or Father, right? And she needs to go outside and go fuck and find herself a young man to come and talk on her behalf, right? Talk on her behalf. Okay, if that's true, if women can't break cola and they can't do igolfo and they can't do that, why is it that a woman can pick up her phone and talk to her parents? Because that's what you're doing at an altar. Do you need a man in Igbo culture? Do you pick up your phone and hand it to a man so you can communicate the message to your parents, right? Because again, we don't see, okay, the parents have died, now they're a different thing than the parents are living. It's all the same. They're all the same. My ancestors that have passed are just as much my family as the people living. We just have a different way of communicating with them because, of course, they've made a different transition. They're in a different form now, right? They occupy existence in a different form now, right? So who then, why then does the rules change for communication? You understand? If I dare somebody to tell my sister that she can't communicate with my grandfather, or she can't say my grandfather's name, or she can't do whatever it is, right? So yeah, no, that's a bunch of BS, you know. Everybody has their awful, man and women. Every single person has their awful. What do you before the mission? Before the missionaries come, you know that the titled women that the feather thing they hold, you know that they hold. It's the same thing. That's the awful. It's going to be in their right hand. That's the whatever it is they're putting on their right hand. That's their awful. You understand? So is it that they're going to just sit and a man is going to just hold that thing for them when they're at occasions and things like that? We see it right now in our tradition. Women are still holding something in their hand. There was something that used to be in that hand. You understand? It was something else. You understand? So, and I hope I'm making sense. But a lot of this is just people coming over from church. They want to bring their church shit, and they can only say it to young people. They can only say it to young people that are trying to like rediscover and like learn, and they weren't taught, and they were kept from it for a reason. They can only say it to young people. They can't say this shit to Peter, don't you? They can't say this shit to the Omu of Onitsha. You understand? They can't. They can't say these things to these people because they. Come on, you're out of your depth. I'll send you 100 videos of women breaking Audrey. Nice plants in the background. Yeah, they're fake as all. They're very fake. But yes, thank you. Uh, Another video will say you can have an altar. Another video will say you can't have an altar in your father's. Just okay, listen. Ultimately, you'll find that Odinani is self-expression, right? Now there are parameters. It's not just people running wild, but it's self-expression. And when you reach that point of realizing that, you'll realize all of these things are silly. It's silly. If your dad's okay with you having an altar in his house, you can. But typically, people don't have altars in their father's house just because that doesn't make any sense, right? The family already has an altar, which is the OB, however it is. But if your father doesn't have one, somebody has to, right? Oh, never mind. Do you know that there are certain like let me leave that alone. No, no, no. Why are there so many rules? Just it's just people saying goofy shit that just they should just go back to church and do that. You know, they just want to bring all that stuff over. My sister just had a child. Are there any Igbo traditions around new children? Yeah, yeah. I can name a few. There's the Ilialongwa, which is the burying of the umbilical cord. So if you know how they cut the umbilical cord and they leave that little like potato chip part in U.S. hospitals, you guys can bury that on the eighth day. If the eighth day is passed, it's fine. It's not that deep. You bury it with a seed, and that seed will grow and become that child's tree of life. If we've missed the window on that, it's okay. Like we're going to do it for my son as well. My grandfather, I didn't know this. We didn't know this is what he was doing, but he had me and my siblings go plant. Each of us planted a tree. So planting a tree. But he had each of us plant a tree. He didn't really call it a big ceremony. He said, "Okay, pick a place and plant this tree," and that kind of thing. And we all planted it. And I remember when we moved back to America, one of the things that kind of kept us interested in going back home is us wondering how tall our trees are and how big the tree is, and so on and so forth. So that's one tradition. It roots a child to the land. The branches from that tree are also used like for different things. If it's like medicine specifically for that person, or if it's like altar work specifically for that person, the branches will be used. I would advise if you're doing this, I would do it in a place that, like, America is kind of weird with land ownership because you can't really like own land here. But a place like a family land, like I know a lot of like, I'm gonna assume you're black. A lot of black families will have that big tract of land somewhere in Virginia, that kind of thing, or somewhere in North Carolina. I would do it there more than like your apartment in New Jersey or your duplex in fucking San Francisco or anything like that. Anything that you're gonna move away from. Another tradition, of course, is like when the child is born, people will come and visit the child, and the mother will take powder and put it on the people. Now, if you want to go spiritual, like really, if you want to go deeper, there's a shrine, a woman's shrine. So I talked about the Ikenga. There's a thing called the Omo or the Omumu, right? Akwali Omumu is the shrine. It's usually like a cone. It's shaped like a cone, sometimes like kind of like a pyramid or like a mound. And it's usually I'm trying to think of where people place it, outside the door. You'll put it outside the door. And so when people come to visit the child, they'll leave gifts there. They'll thank the Omumu because the Omumu represents the feminine power and the feminine energy of that family, which is, of course, sourced by the woman, comes from the mother. And so because it was able to deliver, create this life and do that big thing that only the female spirit and body can do, you give it thanks, like, okay, thank you very much. People pour libations on it and that kind of thing. And then you come in there and the mother will put powder on your body. Nzu tradition in the past, but like, I don't know, nzu. So she'll put nzu on you and people will, go around bragging that they got their own, go get yours, go get yours. And what's happening is because she's given birth, that her energy, her feminine energy, her omumu is very powerful. It's in full bloom. And so going to her, it awakens your own. It awakens your own. That particular energy is the energy of creativity. It's the energy of manifestation. It's the energy of being able to make something happen without moving. So it's manifestation, it's creativity, it is associated with wealth, like being able to manifest wealth. That's why traditionally you'll see that markets are controlled by women in Igbo culture, right? They're controlled by women in Igbo culture. Um, and so forth, because that's their thing. It's a part of their makeup, right? That's why you got all the on TikTok, all these talking about if he don't make six figures, everybody makes six figures now, right? If you don't make six figures, then why are you on a date? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. That whole money thing is it's a woman's way of men, I don't. Ours is love, well, come on, man. I thought we loved each other. That's us. Uh, in Igbo culture, there's a very strong understanding that money affairs are connected to women, right? And Americans still haven't figured it out, but we're kind of getting clues and things like that. But things like that, wealth manifestation. So you're going in there, you're blessing the child, you're also receiving blessings, right? Another tradition is omugwo, and omugwo is when the mother of, let me not say this wrong, the mother of the, what am I doing? The mother, we've had so many unusual omugwos that I forgot for some reason. The mother of the husband, the mother of the husband? No, sorry. I don't know how I'm messing up omugwo. The woman's mother, right? The mother's mother will come into the home and live with you for a set period of time. You can decide how long, but I think traditionally it was like a moon. And in that time, she's going to be taking care of the baby, helping the mother take care of the baby. Now, I've heard this contextualized as the mother coming to help help the new mother, but every omugwo I've ever seen is like the mother putting the daughter under boot camp. So they do help them, but it's not what you think it is. And so for omugwo, the reason I was having a hard time remembering was because we've had a few omugwos that weren't 100% traditional, just because where people lived in the world and so forth. So my anyways, let me not go into those details. But yeah, the mother comes and lives and helps take care of the child, and so forth, in that time. And yeah, that's that. It's a big achievement, a big badge of honor for women to do omugwo for their child. I'm trying to think of another one, another child ceremony for a newborn child that might be. Of course, when the child is first born, traditionally you'd hold the child up to the sun, like the Lion King. Right? You'd present the child to the sun and to the land, and then you'd give the child bitter cola. You put the bitter cola in the child's mouth. They squint their face up like this, and what is said is that it teaches the child that life is bitter. Right? Um, Oh, and then on the after 2 years, it differs in different communities, but after 2 years, you cut the child's hair and you bury it. The hair that they came into the world with. That hair is their hair from Alam Mo. It is not for Alam Mado. And because they've stayed for and the child has stayed for 2 years and they haven't died, that means this child is here to stay. So you give Alam Mo back what belonged to it. So you cut the hair and you bury that. Those are the just off the top of my head, those are some of the traditions that come with like a new child. So that was a super cool question. Thank you for that. I like the space of that. It's better than me ranting about these fucking. Cool. Somebody asks, "Are you a traditionalist?" Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, absolutely. Do you think about the immigrate? What do you think about the immigration crisis? What's the immigration crisis? This thing they use to distract people during elections. I think it's an immigration crisis. What's an immigration crisis? What is that? That doesn't make any sense. That's dumb. I don't know. You guys have to quit letting these television shows ping pong your head back and forth as an immigration crisis. Okay, like okay, okay. I don't know. I figure, maybe you're like 18 and younger, but like if you're close to my age, you've been ping ponged enough by Fox and CNN to just like start like discerning the world by yourself and let them just have their little reality show back and forth talking about a damn immigration crisis. Shit sounds moronic. But I thought of Debia would overcharge, take people's would lose their gift. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of deviants walking around that have lost their gift. It's not that you don't. If you meet a deviant, you don't have to just believe this person has. If a deviant claims they can do something, the onus is on them to prove it to you. It's not just that. It's not like a pastor where it's like I have what is that in Abuski? I have Gaganjua. What did he say? Ah, God, is the funniest thing I ever heard in my life. There's this pastor in Onitsha, Odumeje, in that Booski. Yeah, where he's listing all the different spiritual powers he has. If anybody knows them, please type them. Please type them. He's listing all these spiritual powers he has. He just did a video with Flavor where they're like, okay, things are getting bad. It's time to unleash Gaganchua. Oh shit. But it's not like a pastor where the person just claims stuff and you just have like the onus is on you to have faith and believe the person. If a doctor says I can cure cancer, the onus is on them to cure the cancer, right? So, will they lose their gift? Yeah, a lot of them probably have lost their gift, that kind of thing. And a lot of them have lost their gift. If somebody overcharges you, go home. If somebody does something that doesn't make sense, go home. You're not obligated to, you're not tied to the person. You don't owe the person anything, right? So yeah, a lot of them, they don't give a damn. They're trying to get money, dude. But this is not the majority. It's not the majority. Like people want to, oftentimes somebody say deviant, and the next thing somebody say real fake, real fake. That's not how it works. That's not what it is. Most of them are as real as they say they are. They're as legit as they say they are. But even the ones that are real, they might say something silly, and you're just like, bro, what are you talking about? I went to somebody ran into me, right? I was driving, somebody ran into me, And the insurance, the way it works in the US is their insurance will pay for you to go get medical care and for you to fix your vehicle. And like I was like, okay, well my back feels weird, so let me go see what's going on. And I went to a chiropractor. I've never gone to a chiropractor in my life. And like I'm there and they're like doing all these things and asking me all these questions. And then they recommend I do this thing that like I watch chiropractic videos on YouTube because it's like very soothing. And they recommend the exact same thing they do for every single person. You understand? And it's like, okay, so why'd you do all that little process if you're just gonna run me through the exact gauntlet you run everybody else through? I just went home. I was like, I don't know, talking about, oh, it's gonna be this much, but don't worry, insurance has got it. I just went home. I'm not like obligated to be like, is this a real chiropractor or not? So the thing they were saying didn't make any sense. Talking about watch all those chiropractic videos. They'll have the person sitting down. They'll be like, oh, your F5 and your C6 is aligned with your D4. It's supposed to be with your D3, your data. And then they just do the exact same thing they do to everybody. Right? So I was like, okay, this is fake. And I left. So yeah, if a DB is doing some bullshit, go home. It's not by force. Who is the god of metal? Oh, that's a good question. So, the equivalent to like a god for metalsmiths. I talked about this a little bit earlier in the stream. So it's whoever brought the gift into the community. So different communities will have a different spirit that they work with when they become a smith. I think it's Okigwe or Nkwere, which are ironsmithing communities. The story is that a person came down from the hills, right? Enugu probably came down from the Enugu area into their community, and they were told by their chief to teach the sons of that land the ironsmithing. And so the person came down from the hills and he taught them ironsmithing. And when that person died, anybody that wants to become an ironsmith has to take an oath to the spirit of that person, right? So in different communities, there's is different people because, and you'll go back to the history of who brought that thing in. The one I quote often is Ogadazo. I can't remember which community is Ogadazo. I think it's Nkwere or Okigwe. It's either Nkwere, Okigwe, Leja, Oka, or um, Abiriba. But one of them does Ogadazo, and they have their different ones. There's somebody on, I think it's Art Station, that made different art to represent the different ironsmithing spirits the different communities venerate. But it's different communities, right? So like if you were like who invented something, right? If you were like a botanist, right? Your spirit might be George Washington Carver. If you're working with ethanol, your spirit might be George Washington Carver again. Um, there's I can't remember his name. It's a black inventor that invented, I think it's the refrigerated truck. If you decide to go into making refrigerated trucks, he's going to be the spirit. And the idea is that the staff of authority to do that thing was given to them as a divine mandate, and they did it. And so if you follow like if you follow your awful, right? If you follow your awful and you're sent to do that thing, it'll work. I was saying earlier, if you follow your chi, like if your chi sends you into battle, you're gonna win, right? And so when somebody wants to walk in your footsteps, they have to literally walk in your footsteps. They'll try to live like you lived. The rules you had for keeping your all falls, the rules that they'll have for keeping their ironsmithing practice. And so from there, that becomes the main spirit. So a lot of those masquerade societies, that's what's behind them. Is it's the veneration of a particular spirit, right? Um, Often, not always, often. And then, of course, being aware of how that spirit did their practice and honoring that and keeping in line with that and that kind of thing, right? So, like, if I was like, it's like when like, it's like when like let's say like there's a debate going on who invented hip hop or whatever. Let's say it's like Cool Herc, right? If I'm a rapper, I have to be in alignment with the spirit of that. You understand? Or else I'll destroy myself and I'll destroy the craft of that person. It doesn't mean that that person like all of a sudden I'm like a Cool Herc is my god, but I can't go around just like insulting Cool Herc and doing the opposite of what Cool Herc represented in whatever aspect or whatever the original thing, right? That kind of thing. So that's just the way it is. New subscriber. Welcome. Udo, Udo, Udo. Is destiny theft real? They say it is. Yeah, they say it is. Personal opinion, I don't really think so. I don't really think so, but a lot of people believe in it. I don't think it's real. What's your thoughts about EDP445? If you can explain what that is, that'll be great. I don't watch the news. If it's like current affairs, I don't watch the news. So if you can explain what it is, I'd appreciate that. Maybe it's one of these bills that they're trying to use to get the Negroes up out of here. Oh shit. Some DBS talk about, oh boy. Ise data chi, bringing down your G from the sun into a physical shrine. That doesn't make any sense. That's foolish. Oh yeah, okay, sorry, let me answer it. Yeah, no, that's not, that isn't, what doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. They won't tell that to somebody above the age of 55. They just tell it to young, they're just and it's not that they're trying to be nefarious, but it's not necessary. Ask them what that does. Is it necessary? Once it's necessary, okay, fine. I think that's necessary. Let me go ahead and do that. So if somebody says they can do that, but it's not necessary, I haven't done any of that shit, and I'm fine. So bring out your cheek into a shrine. I don't know. Damn, Udochi is deleting the hell out of these messages out here, boy. Udochi, what's going on? And I'm not questioning your vigilance. I know that you're doing it for a reason. Thought that the Devia, I guess. Okay, guys, looks like the questions are. Oh, whoa, whoa, no, they haven't. Whoa. How do you interpret the ilu? Ọkụ abụọ Chukwu na-akpọ mmadụ? Yes. Oh, wow. That chick. We talked about this on Patreon. I don't know if you were there. Yeah. So, ọkụ abụọ Chukwu na-akpọ mmadụ. Ọkpọ ya na nzu, ọkpọ ya na uhi. Yeah, we talked about this on Patreon. So, if for those who don't know, if you guys like what we're doing right now, we have a group study on Patreon. We meet like twice a month, and we have really good conversations. We actually had one this morning, and typically after the conversation, I just fall asleep for the rest of the day. But I woke up and I said, "Let me go live," just because I was so animated from the last conversation. And just because my chi compelled me to go live today, so that's what it's going to be. But we talked about this specific ilu, and I specifically said I don't know what's being said here, but I kind of have an idea. And so my patrons, my community, everybody started sharing their interpretations, and some of them made perfect sense. There was one that said, I'm trying to remember what she said. I'm trying to remember what she said. She said that, and she said, I was like, oh yeah, that is true. That makes perfect sense. I wish I can remember. Let me not misquote her, but I think one of the interpretations is that the message comes first in spirit, then in flesh. With the Inzu representing the spirit and the Uhi representing the flesh, being red like blood, flesh, that kind of thing. There's another one that says that the first message is gentle, right? So you're told gently, and then the next message is right. So for example, now if something is not for you, right? Maybe you're pursuing a girl and she's just not for you. And you keep having these dreams where she reveals that she's actually some I don't know, like a damn like a vulture or something, I don't know, some weird dream. And then you go, no, but I love her, dog. And so you get in your car and you try to visit her 4 or 5 times, and every time you get in a car accident, I think the first message with the dream was the Nzu, the car accidents were the Yuhi. So that is not what that person that shared that answer with me said, but that's one of the ways I interpret that Ilu. But I myself, we just talked about this on Patreon. I was saying, yeah, I don't know this one. What do you guys think? Are you are the father? Okay. How do you interpret? Okay, I already did that. The war hells of North America. Damn, the wilderness of North America. Peace, God. So it's my birthday today. You say, hey, happy birthday, KS. You share a birthday month with my daughter, my son, my wife, my mother-in-law, my mother, and two of my nieces. So I don't know why everybody's birthday is in February. I Googled it. They said the most common month for birthdays. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. I think it's August. I was like, there's no way that's true because everybody I know is in February. So happy birthday. We just had my son's birthday party yesterday. It was a blast, big hit. Who brings the gift to the entire world? Well, ask yourself that question, right? So I'm trying to think of something that somebody invented and now the whole world is enjoying. Like for example, whoever invented the automobile, right? You know, whoever invented the automobile, that person brought the gift for the whole world. Whoever invented the whoever invented the light bulb, that person brought that gift for the entire world. And that kind of thing. I think that the ironsmithing one gets a little bit more localized because that's just how Igbo people organize themselves. Each community is its own country. And so whoever brought it to this community is the person that brought it, the person that brought it over, that's their business. Whoever brought it here, that's the one that we talk to. But that's the one that brought it to me specifically. And then you have to also think this is the pre-modern world, so there's less interconnectivity. So typically, if something gets made in one place, it stays there, right? Told my mom that I wanted to be a Debia, and she laughed at me. That's okay. That's okay. Schizophrenia is not a joke. Report for self-harm. Don't be a bystander to this behavior. Justice, I'm gonna assume that the thing you were talking about maybe was a different comment. But I agree with you. Don't be a bystander to. I think I agree with the first half. I don't know what the second one means. It's ArtStation where you grab some of your dope Igbo artworks from that we see in your videos on Patreon. Thank you, Duran. No, I usually so I'll reach out to the artists on like Instagram or Twitter, or I'll get it from Pinterest. And then very few times I've gotten it from ArtStation. And the reason I don't get it from ArtStation that often is because they never respond to any attempts to reach out. So I am a bit limited to people who I can visibly see are active on social media and people on Pinterest. Okay, somebody says these are the ops, brother. Oh, are the ops here? Yeah, that's fine. It's my birthday too. Hey, happy birthday, Gabe. How quickly do group studies go up after they're done? Whew. Yeah, good question. Good question. So I could have them come up quicker and I can work on that. But typically it's within like the following week. Ideally the next day. So I'm gonna try to upload this one tomorrow. But like I said, usually after the group studies, I like pass out and fall asleep, and then I sometimes I forget. So, but I try to get them up as soon as possible. Typically within like 2 days, that kind of thing. The replay comes up. So I can be better about that though. Gratitude for all of you. Gratitude to you too. You're greatly appreciated. Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm gonna cut out. All right. Take care. The week without helpers or following. Udo, udo, udo. Hey, Urenna nwanyị ọma. It's been long. Oh, ezigbo ụfọdụ nwa kedu ụmụnne m ndewo ndewo n'ọma ndewo. Ka ị dị? Gịnị na-eme? Wow, Urenna, it's been a long time. It's very nice seeing your name on there. I think the questions have ran out. I think you guys are all out of questions. I think it's time. It's always at 140 something. It's always at 140 something that everybody runs out. Yes, Anuri Ubochi Ncheta Omomoge Ogologo Ndụ. Naru Isike. He said, hello from San Diego, California. Hey, good to meet you, San Diego. How you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome. All right, guys. It looks like you guys ran out of questions. I'm gonna wait for 10 more seconds to see if another question comes up. Oh, there we go. Brandon saved the day. Once the questions run out, I'm out, guys. And it's almost always 140 something. It's just right then everybody cools off. Does Odinala and Omenala have an answer for those that have no known family lineage to being Igbo, but yet science says, DNA says that there is Igbo? Yeah. Okay, so if you if you follow the perspective that I'm sharing, it's always localized, right? So if we're talking about ancestors, you don't 100% have to trace it all the way back to Igbo land, right? Your ants you everybody has ancestors, right? So you can deal with the ancestors that, North America, right? Your ancestors in North America, which are just as valid as any other ancestor, right? So there's that. Your chi, you don't need a DNA test to have a connection to your chi, right? Trust your intuition, trust your truth, trust your true self. Follow what resonates with you. Have faith in those things. Just know that they're good enough and move accordingly, right? Live a balanced life with nature and the people around you, right? Meet, accept duty with a firm hand. You understand? Um, keep your ears open for messages, things like that that can guide you. All those things, you don't need to go all the way to Igbo land like for that. So if you don't necessarily know or commit whatever, as far as Odinam, you can practice that on your own. Now, if you don't like know who you're related to and you go to Igbo land, those who have gone to Igbo land can share their own experience, but I'm going to 99.9% let you know you are going to be welcomed with open arms anywhere in Africa. The black part of Africa. They're weird in like Morocco. I don't know how they are in Morocco and all them weird ass places that them hoteps get all hopped up about. But anywhere in Black Africa, everybody gets accepted. You're going to be accepted in full, especially if they know your story and the fact that you returned, so on and so forth. I have a good friend, also a part of our Patreon community, who recently went back home and fully embraced God and just did his thing, began his studying to become a dibia, was embraced, that kind of thing. Just yeah, there's no reason you wouldn't be embraced. If you took a DNA test, I would take a look at your like DNA relatives, see if you can find out what community they're from specifically and go there, right? See if you can find out what community they're from specifically and then go there if you're trying to like go back home. But you don't, as far as like, Odinala, you don't need to have like a gatekeeper back. Okay, now you're accepted. Come on in. That's not how it works. That's not what we're talking about. That's not how it works. Odinma. No known family lineage to being Igbo. Yes, I say. And if you by DNA found out you're Igbo, then you do know you have a family. Your parents were Igbo too, are Igbo too, and your grandparents, and so you do know. You do know. It's not that it just popped up in you for no reason, right? It came from somewhere. I'm doing great. How about you? I'm doing very good. Glad to have you. Why do African people believe so much in destiny theft? My mom tried to tell me it's very real. I don't know. I don't know. There's a claim. Okay, there's a claim that it exists. I don't believe it. Some people do. I don't believe it. Right? But I remember we had, and again, you guys are gonna think I'm biased. You guys are gonna think I have beef. It's always Christians talking about destiny theft. It's always Christians. It's always every single time. It's always Christians talking about somebody stealing somebody's destiny. And they go to those evangelical churches. They get hopped up on that bullshit. Oh, somebody stole your destiny. We will return your destiny in this 2024. We're gonna get your destiny back. Then they go talk to the pastor. It was your sister. It was your husband. It was that person. And they come back and they start fighting that person. This person used juju to steal my destiny. We had a oh god this I had this cousin. I have this cousin who's really just Chi. His his I would say his father is like the heart of our family. He's the heart, he's the heart. If you want to know what we're about, you meet that guy, like, okay, he's the heart of the family. Just the coolest man you'll ever meet, real bluesy, deep voice. Just loving husband, just an amazing guy. My dad's direct youngest brother. Hi, if I'm tearing up as I talk about this. And I remember we have one uncle that's like very Christian evangelical, and he always like asks that guy very poignant questions and stuff like that. Just his brain is just like, you understand. I remember he asked the guy because the guy was talking about the Almighty Yahweh and hellfire, and that same uncle asked him like, why would a father throw his children in hellfire? Why would a father throw his children in fire? And I'm like, there you go, man. I love you. Well, his son is trying to become a pastor. And he's going around, he's calling this guy daddy. This guy, hi, God. It's just embarrassing. I don't even want to share this anymore. Hi, God, poor guy. And he accused, he's going around accusing people of stealing destinies. You understand? So it's always that destiny stealing. A lot of that shit is coming from church. A lot of this, somebody buried your destiny, somebody stole your it's coming from church. It's coming from it's church people. Does the OB of Onitsha talk about this? Does the OB of Onitsha talk about people stealing destinies? Does he talk about that shit? No, it's like Odumeje and them. You understand? So if you want to see, or go watch that guy. Watch the OB of Onitsha. See how he operates. You understand? He's not, you understand? He's all this destiny. Okay, yeah, your mom says, I can promise I know where your mom goes on Sunday, right? I meet the actual ones. I don't worry about somebody stealing their destiny. I'll talk about it. It's church people. A lot of DBOs will tell you most of their customers are people from church. You understand? My pastor said somebody stole my destiny. I want to get it back. Wah. Now, an actual DBO, I don't know what you're talking about. You go to the next one, I don't know what you're talking about. Somebody will find, oh, yeah, sure. Here, take this string and then put it on your head. Your destiny will come back. Okay, but how much is that? Oh, X amount of dollars, that kind of thing. All right. So it's no, I don't think it's real. Some people believe it is. The I could be wrong too. I could be wrong. I'm persuasive. I'm persuasive, so don't think that I'm just. Sometimes I don't know things, and I'll tell you when I don't know things. So but where I stand right now, what I know, I don't think that's not a thing. You understand? If it's a thing, somebody comes to steal my destiny. I want to see something. Why did I be so much in destiny? Your help did an amazing job cutting out the trolls. Yeah, hi. Udochi is like, hey, sniper. Udochi's like a sniper out here. Special forces, man. God damn. All right. Is there anything in Odinala where the goal is to combine your Mo, Agho, and Chi, like the Ka and Ba in Egypt? I don't know, but I think that would be more of a personal goal. I don't think it's like the goal. They're already combined in your existence. They're already combined, right? But if you figure out something that maybe making them closer, if that makes sense somehow, would do something, then sure, but that's like a person, that's not everybody's goal, right? Maybe that's like you figure out, okay, this does that and it's my personal goal, I'm gonna go for it. But I've never heard of anything like that. I can't imagine that making like too much sense based on what those things are, right? And they're already combined in you are the combination. You're the combination. Like you're the Venn diagram of all those things coming together, the middle part. Dope question, Uchechi. Amen. Does Odinala Omenala have the answer to those? Okay, you already answered this one. Hello, bro. I'm new. Hey, very nice to have you. Welcome, 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 welcome. Hey, I'm really proud to announce this channel is growing. I'm getting a lot of new faces and things like that. I think that's where all the extra new trolls are coming from. Sometimes I get curious as to what they're saying, but we have Udochi, who's special forces. Okay, I disconnected for a minute. So special Udochi is on task force duty, just sniping them out. But I do get curious as to what they're saying. All right, think I'm missing C. God love you all the time. Yes. God bless you. God will help you no matter what. Just keep believing. Okay. That's my man sounds like he needs help. That sounds like incredibly complicated thing to do to transfer someone else's debt. Exactly. Exactly. What does it even mean? Like, okay, I stole your destiny. Oh, it turns out I was supposed to get hit by a car on Tuesday and die. Like, why would you want to steal somebody's destiny? What does that even mean? Like, oh, you just know this person is going to be the one. And so you steal their destiny. Now you're going to be the one, right? That kind of thing. Oh, it turns out he was actually going to get shot in like 3 months. You don't know people's destiny, right? Nobody knows tomorrow. You understand? What's your favorite NFL team? I don't watch football. I don't watch football. I don't watch football. Da, 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 da. So thank you. Hi from Uzbekistan. Oh, interesting. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You spring Uzbek. I don't know what that means. If you can translate that out, appreciate it. So yeah, but welcome. Does Igbo spirituality sift through physical reality? Is it just using common sense in the face of test? My natural inclination is to be common sense. So of course, the way I communicate things are going to be seem very common sense if that's what you're asking. But that's just my way of thinking and communicating and so forth. But I kind of don't understand I'm having a hard time understanding your question. Does it sift through physical reality? There's the worldview, the Igbo worldview doesn't separate spirit and physical. They're kind of the same. They're the same thing. So I'm talking about real life. You know, I don't know how to explain it. I'm talking about real life. Like I'm talking about physical reality when I'm talking about these things, right? That kind of thing. Like for spiritual expansion. Yeah, RW, the question sounds really interesting, and I don't think I'm understanding it 100%. So I don't know if you want to like reword it or give me some time to think. What's your name? My name is Derek Duru Wafadarwa. Good to meet you, Mohammed Dali. Can you shout me out? Trying to see how many shout outs I can get. All right, shout out to Texas Ranger. Where's all these NFL people coming from? Shout out Texas Ranger, man. I got you. Hey, can you come across any new shows that have you come across any new shows that have a spiritual undertone? Are you talking about like Netflix type shows? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so without sounding pompous, I see it in everything now. Like it's not, I don't like, oh, this has a spiritual undertone. I just kind of see what's going on, right? I'm like, oh, there's a perspective I have on what's going on when I watch a lot of shows, right? So like, there's things that you wouldn't think has, but like, you see it, you start seeing it more. But everybody on my Patreon, or damn near everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people are recommending I watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. And a lot of what I'm talking about sounds like Avatar. Um, there was this movie that Disney made. Ah, Soul. What? That's the. We're talking about the same thing. What they're talking about in the movie Soul is what I'm talking about. Over in these parts. Trying to think of some others that I've watched recently, but it's everywhere. It's everywhere, right? It's all over the place, and so forth, right? I think that storytelling and spirituality is they're inseparable. It's spiritual. When you're telling a story, for lack of better terms, you're doing spiritual work, so it's always there. Um, Even in the let me leave that alone. Yeah, or media in general. Yeah. So those are some that I can think of right now, but I don't really watch a lot of shows and movies. I had a really big wrestling kick. It's over now. For like 8 months, I had like a huge wrestler. I was really into like WWF, and I can see it there too. I can see it there too. Right? It's a masquerade show. If you understand like an African masquerade show, that's what you're looking. That's what's going on in WWF. Right? It's the art of crowd control. It's really what it is. It's crowd control and that kind of thing. And so I was really fascinated by that because I watched as a little kid, Stone Cold Steve Austin, all that. And I came back as an adult and I'm seeing it from a different perspective and I can like respect the artistry a little bit more. Before it was just like the antics, like, oh, they got Val Venus, they're gonna do that kind of thing. But now I'm looking at it different as that one, partly as an adult, and two, because of where my interests lie. I'm seeing some interesting things in there and like archetypes and things like that. Though like it's not as good as it used to be. It's not. It's I tapped out. I'm like, I can't watch. It's not for me anymore. Maybe I'm too old for it. Maybe it's a new generation. It's catering to a new generation, but it's not for me anymore. But like, I can see there's a connection between it and like masquerade shows in Africa. And if you know me, you know that's one of my favorite parts about going home is watching masquerades and being involved in that. So I don't know. Roast or dare. I don't even know what that means. Give a tutorial on how to throw nzu. Um, and cola. Nzu is simple. You can draw 4 lines, or you can crush it up and make 4 powder lines. Because you got to think Africa. This floor is sandy, so you make 4 lines out of powder. If you have a title, you make 8. Right? Some people choose to circle theirs. Some people choose to take after they make the 4 lines with the nzu. They'll take edo if you have edo, and they'll put it in the middle of each line. Right? So it's kind of like filling each of those because each of those lines represents the 4 market days. They represent the 4 paths by which people enter the world: light, water, earth, and wind. They represent, of course, the 4 elements which match with that. So you're enriching all those things, or you're giving blessings to all those things by placing Edo on the stomachs of each of them. Because the 4 market days are women, right? So they're getting pregnant with abundance. That's the symbology. And that's that. I don't know what you mean by throw cola. I don't think there's a particular way to throw cola. I think that when you break Aji, you'll take a piece and you'll just throw it to the earth. You give the earth her piece. You give nature its piece. You share your meal with nature, and then before you eat. The Bible says that God cannot be tempted by evil. So how can Jesus be God if he was tempted by the devil? So the Bible is not one book. It's a bunch of books put together and they contradict each other. And the convenience of them is that they say everything. So they say every single thing. So whatever point or whatever thing you as a person want to say, you just collect the little pieces that say your thing, and then you go, and that's your version of the shit. But yeah, it's just a bunch of books that kind of contradict each other. I don't the people or person who wrote them had no clue they were going to be compiled in a collection, so they didn't write it that way. Yeah, I don't know what rooster there is, so I'm gonna just ignore you. Do you have any life advice for a man late 30s searching for culture, traditions, lessons that can be passed down? So one of the things we do as Americans is we tend to ignore our traditions because our mindset is that we don't have traditions because the things we do are just ubiquitous human nature, right? But if you are Brandon, let's say like you're a Black American, you have a very, very, very rich ethnic culture that you can pull from, that you grew up with, that you probably just think is air. You don't think a lot of the things I'm sharing. Growing up, I didn't think it was anything. I didn't think it was like a thing you think about, right? Like I remember, I learned today that people don't know who they reincarnate. Not today, but I learned from the medicine shell that a lot of people don't know who they reincarnate from. But like I go home, people just call me that name. right? Or people would just be like, oh, my father. And I was like, oh, okay, I must have been his dad in the past life, right? So to me, it was air. It was, as an adult, I was like, oh, okay, that was something. Let me share about that, you know? So and it's going to be the same for you too, right? So Brandon, I'm assuming you're Black and American. Yeah, you have a very, very rich cultural tapestry to pull from. And it's, there's this like weird thing people say, oh, black people, they forgot their, what the fuck is that? This shit don't make any sense. People just say whatever. People just say whatever. That doesn't make any sense. That's not true, right? If that's the case. Or maybe you're a white guy, right? You teach your kids about um what's some white cultural things? There's a lot of white culture that I just can't think of nothing right now, right? The Andy Griffith show, fucking uh beef stroganoff. I grew up with a bunch of white people. I can't remember the baseball, all them sports. I think it's general American, but same thing. You know, hunting, fishing, all that shit. Yeah, all that's culture. It doesn't like it. I think Americans think culture has to have this certain look, this old world kind of look, in order to be culture. But that's not what it is. Um, that kind of thing. But yeah, you have a very, very rich, if you're like a black person in America, you have a very rich cultural web to pull from and pass down and things like that. Something as simple as sharing the music you grew up with your children, the music your parents played in the house with your children. Um, maybe the different things that you guys, even if it didn't seem like a big deal, if it didn't seem like anything, right? And it's never too late to add new traditions. Never to add recipes. There's this meme that goes around, we're losing recipes. All that is culture. All that is culture. You pass it down to your children. It means a lot, right? It means a lot, that kind of thing. So, some, let me not say too much. But yeah, passing those things down. You may think, oh, it's just macaroni and cheese. Yeah, that's your culture, man. Pass that down. Pass that down. That macaroni and cheese sustained you for generations. Why wouldn't your kid get the recipe? Instead of sitting there fucking going to Chipotle every 3 seconds because they don't know how to cook, that kind of thing. Are you still into boxing? I am. I am. I conditioned for it like last year, and I just never signed up for a gym. I think it was a money thing at the time. But I'm a little bit more comfortable now, and things are a little bit more stable. So it's something I'm willing to reconsider. One of the things that kind of made me say, let me chill on that a little bit, is because I do feel that communication is a gift that I have. And a lot of boxers talk like they got like a fat tongue. like, like they got like a calcified tongue. So I don't, I don't think you guys want to hear that in the videos. So I was like, maybe, and my brain is very important to me. So I was like, maybe this isn't the one, but I do want to do something. I want to do some type of like physical test. I want to do some type of physical test, that kind of thing, just because I want to. And boxing fascinates the hell out of me. So a friend of mine gave me like a conditioning routine. Last summer, I was really like towards the ending of last summer, but I never actually had the match. I never actually went through with it. And I told myself I would, so it's lingering in my yeah. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it though. Sometimes not in the time that I say. But those are the things that made me slow down from it. But I'm glad you brought that up. Damn, Udochi is sniping them. I haven't seen one troll comment yet. Udochi, you are awesome. Andy, okay, yeah. Me too. I saw the Super Bowl commercial shot in Africa, and the dog led the boy to his destination and destiny, and my mouth dropped because that's what the dog represents. He said, yeah, a lot of these people making these things, they're very aware of the things we talk about. A lot of creatives have a natural inclination towards studying spirituality and understanding it kind of instinctively, or it just comes out of their works. Anybody who does anything creative, that you contribute 50% to anything that comes out. Like if you're painting, or if you're writing, or you're making a song, your consciousness is maybe 50-40%. The rest comes out of nowhere, right? And that nowhere tends to have a specific language and a way of having a specific nature through time and space. So Yeah, it's you'll see that. That is very interesting they had that though. But they know what's going on. They know who we are. Thank you for the opportunity for the DBL meetup tomorrow. I'll do my cool. Peace, love, prosperity. Oh, I take it you're going home. Trying to do boxing too. Awesome. Yeah. So definitely. Yeah, I want to have a match. Sorry, I mean, sorry, I mean from things missing in Igbo culture. Yes, I understand. True. Okay, cool. Brandon, if you want to elaborate, I think you're kind of already got your answer. But if you want to elaborate what you mean by sorry, I mean from things missing from Igbo culture, um, that'd be great. It's looking like you guys are running out of questions, man. Okay, my mom's from Trinidad and my dad's from Arkansas. I'm black, mixed black with my mom. Wait, what? I'm black, mixed with black. My mom would like me to say. Okay, so I take it your mom is of Nordic Norwegian descent and your father is an Afrikaan. So yeah, from Trinidad. Yeah, you got Plant Trinidad. That's a lot. Oh, my mom's from Trinidad. Okay, no, your mom is from Trinidad. Okay, my mom's from Trinidad. Dad's from Arkansas. Yeah, that's a lot to pull from. So in the Igbo tradition, you carry on the culture of your father, of where your father's from, of where your dad's from. So if you need that, but you can do what you want. It's not like nobody's gonna hold a gun to your head. You're breaking the Igbo rules, papa. That doesn't happen. I think are we out of questions? Or are you guys gonna hold me hostage for the rest of the night? Damn, Udochi is getting them. Hey, you trolls suck. I don't. Hey, Udochi, if one of the trolls is asking about touch and follow, that's my brother. You can let that one slide. The guy that asked about touch and follow, you can let it slide. Anything else is cool. Grilled cheese has a question. All right, grilled cheese, hit me with it. What's your question? Udochi, get that scope ready. Udochi, get that scope ready. Grilled cheese, ask the question. I don't know if yeah. I have a question as well, Bog Daddy. Okay, Udochi, get that scope ready. Go ahead. Would you sneeze down my throat? No. She's Call of Duty out here. I'm telling you, straight headshots. Grilled cheese. We have a moderator that is like a top flight sniper, and you slipped past the crack, and that is the funniest thing you can think of. That is the funniest thing you could have really like you got through Fort Knox. And that's the funniest thing you can think of. Sneezing, grilled cheese. Post a picture of yourself laughing at that joke. For a 22-man for a 2-man stream. For a 1.5 man stream. We got the top flight troll sniping moderator from just straight from the Green Beret. And that's the funniest thing you can think of is sneezing. There are so many things a body can produce that are way funnier than sneezing. I've never heard somebody pull off a joke, and that's all you can do. It's from Vietnam, from the Udochi's coming straight, man. I heard they had her out there in Fallujah. Hello from Turkmenistan. Hey, welcome, welcome. Very happy to have you. Yeah, they got Udochi straight from Fallujah. And that was like, that's the funniest thing you could. Bro, you got 30 seconds to say something funny. Udochi, let him say the next thing. 30 seconds. Said, all right. Come on. 30, no, there's no all right. The clock is imagine breaking through Fort Knox. You can do anything, and the security's rushing you, and you go, all right, bro. You're about to get tackled. Let's just assume 15, 16. I got olive oil over my body. No. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 20. Bro, say something funny. Be funny. Jump. Ah, you couldn't say nothing, bro. You literally, like, you just did January 16th. Is it 16th or 6th? You just did January 6th. And you bang down the door, and Nancy Pelosi's sitting right there. And that's the best you can do. What do you, okay, all right, man, you blew it. Dad's black, whoops, too. Oh, okay, yeah, Brandon, you're fine, man. You got Trinidad and Black American, that's a whole lot of culture. You know, a whole lot of it. Yeah, you're good. Black mixed with black. Yeah, I'm black mixed with black too. Yeah. I'm a mulatto. Yeah. I sound like Charleston White. Yeah. Whatchamacallit? Udochi. Udochi must have went to bed. It's Gucci. Yeah. All right, y'all. I think the questions have ran out. Udochi has gone to bed, so now we're no longer safe. So let me go ahead and let you guys know that this has been super fun. For those of you who are interested, so we're starting traditional medicine courses. So if you're interested in learning how traditional medicine works and how to do your own and come into that practice, and then like the second level is like an apprenticeship with the DBA. That's all available at www.gedu.me. So if you're interested, we'd love to have you guys. People are signing up pretty quickly. It's low-key stole the thunder from the language classes. But people are signing up pretty quickly. I try to keep the seats at 12 because we only have one teacher. But yeah, just sign up when you can. www.gedu.me. Also, what else? Yeah, if you want to support the channel, join at patreon.com/TheMedicineShell. This has been a phenomenal conversation. I'm really happy I got to see a lot of names that are familiar and then some like new names and stuff. That being said, uno gadi, uno geto, gobala, uno triaka, ogade noa, ogade otua neke, norie, afo, nampo. He said, all right, your lips are so kissable. Yeah, duh, stupid.